I'm feeling like I'm going a little bit outside of my comfort zone for today's prompt, but I'm really excited because it is something different, but I hope I do all of these books justice that I'm featuring today. Hello friends, happy Wednesday, so very excited that you're here. It is Top 5 Wednesday. We're gonna have hopefully so much fun with all of these books that we're gonna be talking about today. I read quite a bit specifically for this prompt, and this morning I reread a little bit of another book, so I just did all of the reading, which is always really cool because I do like trying things that are typically outside of what I usually read. But in case if you're not familiar with Top 5 Wednesday, in a nutshell, basically each week I answer a prompt using 5 books, but in this case I do manga to reflect the said prompt. And today's prompt is books with robots or futuristic techie kind of stories. Today is National Robotics Week, so I thought it'd be pretty fun to feature something that goes with today's celebration kind of week of all things robots, and that is all of the manga that I have. They have some kind of robot in the story. Some of them are sort of futuristic. It's sort of funny because an apocalypse happens in like 3 of them, and I was like, I don't really want that to be a future that's realistic for real life, but yeah, they all have robots though. That was the theme that I went with, was books with robots. I technically only own 2 of these, but I have one of them on pre-order, so I'll go ahead and talk about those first. I also will say I don't have an honorable mention today. That feels really weird to say, that I don't have an honorable mention. So shout out to my friend Toni, who actually gave me a really good manga recommendation, but the book was not ready in time. Like at my library, I put a hold on it at my library because I feel like Toni loves robots. I know that she does. She's talked about it on her channel before. She's talked about it in multiple videos. So I was like, hey, do you have any recommendations for me that have robots that you think I would personally like? She gave me a few recs, and one of them stood out to me. I think it's called Robo Sapiens. I don't remember what it's about, but I really liked the art style of it and was really bummed that I couldn't read it in time for this prompt. So I don't know about how it is, but that was the one I was going to do as an honorable mention, but alas, I cannot. So let's go ahead and dive into number 1. I'm very excited because this is the only shoujo manga on this list, and that is Magic Knight Earth. I decided to feature the art book. I was going to feature actual pages from the manga, but I felt like it's so good. It's so crisp, it's so clean, it's the beautiful world of Clamp, but I felt that it might be a little bit overwhelming to just show actual battle fight scenes, because the thing is, with Magic Knight Earth, I feel like it's Magical Girl meets Gundam, and I do have a review talking more about that because I was ultimately like most interested in that part. I don't know if anybody actually said, hey, it's like that, or if it's just something I came up with randomly after reading, but I felt it was most accurate. Though the thing is, it does not have, I'm trying to find a picture of in the art book of the Gundam. Yeah, I don't know if anybody actually said that, but that was just my takeaway, and what I was going to say is not a bunch of people die, unlike Gundam, where everybody dies, and I don't really watch Gundam anymore because I sob every single time I watch it. But these are the Gundam right here. Hopefully it's showing well on the screen, but there's 3 different Gundam, and they each represent 3 of the girls in this series. I was trying to remember when the Gundam show up. I was rereading the part 2 of this series, and I was like, they're already making an appearance, so I'm pretty sure, because I'm like, they have to go through trials to get these Gundam, because I really love the theme when I was rereading part 2 of how the strength of the heart is one of the most important things, and how that strength came to be. It wasn't because of physical strength, it wasn't even because of their magical abilities or anything, as cliche as it may sound. It was because of their love, the love that they had for one another, as you know, these 3 girls teaming up together to be these magic knights for this world, Sephiroth. But yeah, that it was their love for one another, the love for this world that they're not even from, and yet they're in this giant Gundam fighting these battles to keep the people of Sephiroth safe, and the people are even asking, like, this is not your fight. You can go back home to Tokyo and be safe and not worry about it. Love Hikaru, our main girl, well, our main girl, she's sort of like the leader of the 3 of them, and she's saying, it doesn't matter if I'm not from here. I love this place. I want to help fight from invasion from these other countries and keep Sephiroth safe. And so the Gundam is really interesting because it's ultimately linked to each of these girls. As you can see, you have the red, which represents Hikaru, right here. And then you have, oh gosh, I forgot their names. I forgot the other two girls' names. I'm blanking on her name, and she was one of my favorite girls out of all of them. I mean, I loved all three, but it was just really interesting because, again, I accidentally repeat myself, but what I was trying to say is that the Gundams, it's linked directly to each girl. No other girl can control another Gundam. She can't fly that Gundam or anything, or pilot. That's what I'm trying to say. She can't pilot that Gundam. It's linked to their hearts, to their desires that they have, and what they hope for and wish for Sephiroth, for each other and themselves. It is a deeply immersive story. When I was continuing to reread, it really just came back of how beautiful this story is. I love it so much, and I'm so overdue for a reread. It's like ridiculous at this point. I think it's been, like 2 years now? Well over a year at least. But it is wonderful, and if you're looking for a new Magical Girl manga, especially since the paperbacks of this series are ongoing right now, this is one I would suggest. There's so much heart to it, and if you're looking for some giant Gundams, some giant robots that these girls pilot and totally kick butt with epic action scenes and Clamp's art style, you really need to check out this manga. It is so beautiful, so wonderful, and I was getting emotional when I was rereading it, and I'm like, all of the feels, there's so many feels, so it's so good, and I was really excited to be able to feature it because giant robots. For number 2, talking about giant robots, we gotta continue with that theme. I mean, is there any other cooler giant robot than Transformers? No, there's not. I love Transformers. I love Transformers Prime specifically. That show is my jam. I need to rewatch it. My family and I, we loved it so much because we were watching it on like Tubi or something like that. Then we went and we bought the entire season, the movie, and then we're like, you know what, we still want more Transformers, so we went and we bought the manga. I could not find the other 2 volumes. They're in my kids' room, but it is a 3-volume series. It is at times a little bit confusing. Like, I do have a review. Me and my oldest, we actually reviewed it together, and we talked about like what we liked, what was a little bit confusing of parts, but it was so cool to be able to read like the original Transformers. It really, even as an adult, it was very, I don't think magical is the right word in the sense the same way I would use it for Magic Knight Rebirth, which felt very magical and is very magical. But there was something so childlike about this series that really just made me want to be a kid again. I mean, there's the kid who's like the main character, and he's just so cool. I'm like, dude, I'm living through you just even as an adult right now. My oldest, I think, really thrived on seeing so many Transformers, and there's so many of them, like an overwhelming amount. And that is where the confusion sometimes happen, is because there's just so many. But this is so cool. I would highly recommend this to kids that are wanting to get into manga and do really like Transformers. I would also recommend it to adults who are into Transformers because it was a really special reading experience. I mean, definitely for me, I was reading it with my oldest, but also just reading it as an adult and just seeing the original comics of this. I loved Transformers, like the movies, when I was in high school. For the longest time, I just wanted a Camaro like Bumblebee. But I wanted a lime green one, and I was just so inspired by Transformers. I remember buying like a lot of clothes. I wasn't into merch at that time, which is probably a good thing for me, but I bought a lot of clothes at that time that had Transformers stuff. I remember having my ringtone as when the Transformers were transforming. I mean, I loved it all, and so this was a really nostalgic kind of experience too, of coming back to something I was so like head over heels for when I was a teenager. But it was nice to read this as an adult and see how everything unfolded. It's special, it's cool, and I would highly recommend it. I don't know how hard it is to find, and they are a little bit more expensive. Yeah, they're $25, but you have like a bunch of colored pages at the back with all these cool little random facts. Actually, that was my favorite part, seeing like different movie posters and different promotional events that were happening. Like that was the coolest thing. I'm not even gonna lie. I really enjoyed that. I need to reread it because I don't necessarily need to reread this one. I need to read the 2nd volume and the 3rd because I actually have not read those, but this was so great. I was really excited to feature this one too because I said Transformers, giant robots, you just can't go wrong. For number 3, I haven't read this one, but I think it's very family friendly. It seems that way. It seems super cute, super wholesome, and that is Doomsday Cleaning. This is a one-shot. I think it's 44, 45 pages from Starfruit Books. I think it was supposed to release like 2 years ago, and we're unfortunately still waiting for our pre-orders to be fulfilled. But I think when they released their schedule at the last big Comic-Con, I think like last year, they mentioned that they plan to physically finally release it, and I'm very excited because it just seems cute because there's this small little vacuum cleaner guy. He's cleaning this world. It's, you know, in the apocalypse, and he meets this real life pig, and they basically just clean things together. That seems like that's all they do. And I was just like, he's such a cute little robot. Like, look at him on the cover. He's just so cute. It looks like a fun and vibrant cute little story. And I'm very excited for my pre-order to finally come because it's been such a long wait. And I'm like, I just want to see the cuteness of this story in this little robot and pig, because that's an interesting mashup. You know what I mean? Having a robot and a pig. Wouldn't have ever expected that, but hopefully in the future, when I get my hands on it, when I read it, I can say that it's very cute and lives up to the excitement that I currently have now to read that story. For number 4, I'm going to say Heart Gear, but I'm only saying volume 1. I don't know if I should do my review now or later. I read this volume yesterday and I was just head over heels. I was ready to buy the rest of the series. I had volume 1 in my Amazon cart and I'm like, we are going for it, because volume 1 was absolutely amazing. It's about this young girl. She is sort of living in the apocalypse as well. The thing is she's sort of the only human. She lives with these gears who are robots, and they have different functions. Like her father, who is a robot, he's a father-like figure to her and has helped raise her and grow up with her. He is a researcher gear, so he just focuses on research and learning new things as a robot. So she's growing up with him and everything like that. Everything's cool, but then she finds this laboratory, and what do you know? She hits some buttons by accident, and boom, here is this giant clunky gear that looks like a giant refrigerator. To me, he is sort of round, or you could say like a giant water heater, however you want to say. But he's giant and he's boxy and he's big. He doesn't have a base program, meaning like he doesn't know if he's a researcher gear or if he's a service gear. He doesn't have any of that. So he is this newborn robot, so to speak. But things happen and I teared up. I almost cried at the end of chapter 1 and I didn't appreciate that. And she makes a goal that she is going to go on this certain adventure with this new robot, this new gear whose name is Chrome. That is pretty much how the story takes place. I'm a little bit unsure of how much to say because I loved volume 1. Like the action and the battle and the art was everything, and I was so deeply compelled by our main heroine and how she's like, I don't necessarily have a dream, but she meets these other gears who inspire her, and she's like, I'm gonna go out there and get serious and live for my dream, whatever that may be. And then she goes not only with this goal in mind to do this X thing, because I can't say what that goal is because it'd be a massive spoiler, but she's like, I'm gonna do this thing, but she's like, as I'm doing this thing, I'm going to discover what my dream is. And even Chrome himself is questioning, what is he? What is his purpose and his function? And what is he supposed to be doing as a gear? Even alongside our main heroine, he is questioning who he is, what he wants to do, what he wants to be. And they go on this, like, I guess this self-discovery adventure together. I read the the opening chapter of volume 2. It was great. Got really teary-eyed, and then like the fan service began and it was really overwhelming. I'm like, I just can't do this. Like there's fan service in volume 1 a little bit, but I was like, okay, I can overlook this. This person actually is really cool. But then, yeah, when a gear doesn't have any pants and it's a female, and I don't care if there's like nothing shown, I don't need to see her flying above in the panel. Like, nope, I just don't need it. So I would specifically say only volume 1 because it blew me away. It blew my expectations away. I'm like, this is the kind of robotic story I would love to read for a shonen battle manga, and I was so deeply disappointed that just fan service sort of ruined my enjoyment for later volumes. But I've seriously have thought about just buying volume 1 and just being content with what I read, because that is just how much I enjoyed reading it. Really went above and beyond, and the art was so cool. And there's these insane gears where basically they have lost bits of their program or their service and they just go crazy. They will target purposely humans. So our main girl has sort of like a hit on her, it seems. We don't really know. I mean, I guess if I kept reading, then I would know. But right now, we don't really know why or if they are purposely targeting her. But Chrome is determined to protect her on this adventure to go fulfill the goal that they have in mind. And I hope it goes well, because I'm not going to continue the story to find out. But I love volume 1, and I just had to recommend it, even though I would not recommend the second part. And I will say I read this on Manga Plus. So if you are interested in checking it out, I read all of volume 1 for free on Manga Plus. I read the first 2 chapters of volume 2. I think on Manga Plus it goes up to like chapter 40. So you could read the whole series if you want. But again, I'm just recommending volume 1. Just keep that in mind. It was so good, and I wish I could read more. For number 5, I'm so thankful that this one was really good. I read it sometime like a few hours after Heartgear, and that is Snowball Earth. Shout out to Colleen, because Colleen mentioned she was like overly excited, like in a good way, when this got a license announcement. I was watching the live stream with her. I am blanking on the guy's name, but one of her good friends, they were doing a live stream of the Viz license announcements, and she like screamed when this got announced. And so I was like, I'm gonna go check it out. I cried at the beginning, okay? I cried at the end of chapter 1, and then I cried again in the middle. Oh my goodness, it was so amazing. It was so good. I had it pre-ordered, but then I had to cancel it due to tight funds. Now I have been debating, do I want to get it physically, because it went above and beyond. It is like Kaiju number 8 meets Komi Can't Communicate, but set in an Ice Age world. It is the ultimate mashup. I love the Kaiju aspect. This is about a young man. I am blanking on his name, Tetsuro, but it's about this young man. He is the savior of Earth. He pilots this robot, and they go and they fight these intergalactic Kaiju up in space. Things happen, and he ends up coming back to Earth only to find that Earth is an Ice Age. And because of the things that happen, he has this goal now in his heart to make 100 friends. But that's pretty hard to do when you can't find any humans that are alive on planet Earth, and all you find is Kaiju. So it's his story of wanting to fulfill that goal, but also fighting these Kaiju, which were pretty cool. But this is, I think, older teen, and it's not gory, but it is a little bit more graphic than Kaiju number 8, I feel like. But it was so heartfelt and so full of emotion. I love Tetsuro so much, and I'm like, dude, I am cheering for you so hard, buddy. And that plot twist at the end, or near the middle / end, was something I never imagined, never expected to happen. And I'm just like, it took all my sheer willpower to not start sobbing at my computer, because I read this volume digitally. Thank you, NetGalley. Thank you, Beneath the Tangles, for letting me review it for them. It just took all my strength not to start sobbing, because I'm like, I never imagined this. It was really, really good. Talking about it right now, I think I'm going to go ahead and pre-order it, because it is something I definitely could see myself coming back to. And the ending left on this really interesting cliffhanger where, like, yeah, you could probably just read volume 1 and be okay. But the Kaiju that looks like it's being introduced, I was like, what is this? I need answers. I need answers, and I need to see what's going to happen next. So I can definitely highly recommend that one, and hopefully ongoing volumes. I love the characters and just the heart that this series, or this first volume, had. And I'm so sorry that I don't have an honorable mention, but I hope that these seemed interesting to you. It was very fun talking about some robots and how that it's not as far-fetched in my reading as I thought it was, and apparently robots is a rising trend, because I did see quite a few robotic stories online, but these were the ones I decided to feature today and that I have personally read. But I would love to hear from you, friends. Do you enjoy reading books with robots, or futuristic reads, or stories set in the apocalypse? Because why do robots usually take place in an apocalypse? Like, is this a new thing and I just never knew it until now? I would love to hear from you, friends. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!